I am super excited to start our next unit. We have talked about text structure for a couple weeks now, and now we're going to look at some text features. These are things that are in the text that are super important. Mostly they're going to be things that are in nonfiction text, so fact writing, not the literature that we've been reading, although some of them can appear in literature as well. This is mainly going to be nonfiction. We're going to do things a little bit differently this week. I have this video for you to watch as I'm teaching you about the text features, but I have some Google Slides for you to fill out, kind of like what you do with Miss Rurick with your science notebook. Now, I haven't actually seen how she does that with you, so I may tell you stuff you already know, or you may know a better way to do it, and if you do, tell me. One of my biggest frustrations with remote learning, all the things that we've been doing, is the things that I assign, I can't always see the way you see them. There's a teacher view and a student view, and Google Classroom doesn't give teachers a way to see what you see unless I log in as one of you and see what it looks like, which I've done occasionally. You've heard me say, "Oh, today I'm going to be Bailey," and I log in as Bailey just because she's the one that I happen to have helped, and she let me use her name once. So Bailey, thanks. Anyway, um, so today and for the next 2 or 3 times that we have a class where I'm giving you a lesson this way, you're going to make the video screen half of your screen. And then I want you to open up the Google slide that you're going to be writing in and make it the other half of your screen so that you can see what you're writing in and what I'm saying at the same time. Now, throughout this video, I'm going to say, okay, pause the video, go fill in your Google slide. And I need you to pause and do that. And then when you come back, I'll give you the answer. So if you're stuck or you have absolutely no clue, fine. But the way to make sure you understand what I'm talking about is to actually follow the direction and pause and type what you think and see if you're right. It's a way to see, okay, I've got this, or I need to email Miss Gilbert because I have no idea what she's talking about. And I need to know that. I need to know if I need to explain better, if I need to give more examples, if I need to start over. You have to tell me. And if you're at home, I can't look at your faces. Well, I can't look at the faces of the kids in front of me either because they're masks. This is all I see. The point is, I can't tell from your face if you're understanding, which is something teachers do all the time, is kind of watch the sea of faces in front of them to see if everybody's got it or if they're all looking at you like this, because that means you don't get it. You have to tell me if you're at home, okay? Okay. So pause me in just a second. I'm going to tell you what to do, and then I'll say that again. Make this video half your screen, go back in today's assignment, open the Google Slides, and drag it and make it the other half of your screen, okay? Pause and do that. Okay, so hopefully I'm on one half of your screen, I don't care which half, and you have your Google Slides open on the other half. Let's start talking. We're going to learn just about a few text features today. Today we're actually going to focus on text features that take up an entire page. You can't miss them. And then we'll stop for today. This is my friend Bob. He's going to help us today. Okay. Today we are focusing on text features. Text features help us as readers comprehend what they are reading. And comprehend is just a fancy word for understand. So text features just are tools that we use to help us understand what we're reading. And they are especially helpful when reading nonfiction text. Text features include all the parts of a story or an article that aren't the main body of the text. So everything except for the words that actually tell the story. So in literature, there's really not much left over. Like the books we've been doing for Read Aloud, there's not much left over if you take out all the words that just tell the story. There's not a whole lot left. In nonfiction, there's a whole lot left, and those are our text features. Here are some examples. We're going to start with text features that are complete pages, not just a part of a page, but they are complete pages. Like the title page of a nonfiction book. Now, there are title pages in fiction books as well. This is going to be the title page of a nonfiction book. We're looking at this one, a book about frogs, written by Melanie Amphibian, illustrated by Philip Tadpole from Children's Science Publications, copyright 2012. The title page is located at the beginning of the book, which makes sense, right? You don't want to wait till the end of the book to be sure what the title is. It just tells basic information about the creation of the book. So your first question that you're going to answer is, what information did you find out by looking at the title page? Pause this video and go answer the question, what information can be found on the title page? Welcome back. These are the things you could have put on your list. We have the title, we have the author, we have the illustrator, we have the publisher, and we have the year that it was published. If you put any of those things, yay, you're right. Those are the things we can find out about the title page, find out by reading the title page. You're going to pause now, and there's going to be a few questions. Here's the first one. In what year was this book published? Pause and go answer. Welcome back. Did you put 2012? I hope so. It's the only date on the title page. Look at your next question. What company published this book? Pause and go answer. Welcome back. Children's Science Publications is the name of the publisher for this book. So that wasn't hard. There's nothing hidden. Everything that you wanted to know on the title page was right there for you to see. Now let's look at table of contents. The table of contents is located also at the beginning of the book. You'll often find it almost immediately after the title page. They actually sometimes put in a few blank pages, but then you'll get to the table of contents. Table of contents. It lists the chapters that you find in the book. So we're still continuing with the same book. Here's the list of chapters. So tell me, what information can be found in the table of contents? Pause this video and go answer that question. Okay, let's see what information can be found. The name of each chapter, origins, habitat, diet, life cycle, and the page number where the chapter begins. So origins begins on page 3. Habitat begins on page 7. So here's a new question for you. In what chapter would you find out what a frog eats? Pause and go answer that question. You would look in chapter 3, diet. That's where we find out what a frog eats, because remember, this is a book about frogs. To which page would you turn to begin reading about the life cycle of a frog? Pause and answer. To find out about the life cycle of a frog, you would go to page 12. What would you be reading about if you were on page 9? Don't pause yet. Listen. This question is a bit tricky because page 9 is not listed. We have 3, 7, 10, and 12. However, we know that the page numbers show where each chapter begins. Therefore, the pages that follow must also belong to that chapter. So, origin starts on page 3, but habitat doesn't start till page 7. Excuse me. I'm talking about frogs and I have a frog in my throat. So if origin starts on page 3 and habitat doesn't start till page 7, then pages 4, 5, and 6 are also in the origins chapter. Page 8 and 9 have to be in habitat because we don't start talking about diet until page 10. And page 11 is also used for diet because life cycle doesn't start until page 12. Now, we don't know how many pages there are in life cycle because it's the last chapter listed. And we don't have enough information to know how many pages are in that chapter. We don't know where the end of the book is. But we do know which pages are included in these other chapters. So now let's thinking about that, knowing that, What would you be reading about if you were on page 9? Now pause and go answer that question. You would be reading about a frog's habitat because pages 7, 8, and 9 are about habitat. Diet doesn't start till page 10. Okay? So those are two things that take up full pages in the front of a book. Now we're going to talk about the index. Index. The index is located at the end of the book. Index. I always think it sounds like, now it starts with an I, but it sounds like it starts with the word end, index. So we're sticking it at the end. It's just the way I used to remember when I was a kid. An index helps a reader quickly find a certain topic in a book. So I'm not going to say more. You take a second, pause, look at this slide, and tell me what information can be found in the index based on what you see here. So important concepts that are related to the topic, we're still talking about frogs. So we have amphibian, bulges, capillary, cold-blooded, skin, shed, spawn, tadpole. We must notice that these are listed in A, B, C order. And once it tells me that concept, it tells me what page I can find that information on. So if you wanted to find information about spawn, on which page or pages would you look? Pause and write your answer. Spawn is here, and it says you can find that information on pages 7 through 9. Let's talk about this. That dash here means through. You can find information about spawn on pages 7 through 9. That's the same thing as saying pages 7, 8, and 9. All three of those pages are about spawn. If I look up here, I'll see that I have numbers that have commas in between them. The commas mean and. So I could find information about a frog's skin on page 14 and on page 21 and on page 35. Not 14 through 21. I couldn't look on 15 and find information about a frog's skin because it's not a through mark, it's an and mark. Okay? Next question. List all of the pages in this book that contain information about amphibians. Pause and do that. Well, if I look here, I have 1 through 3 and 14 and 24. So I would write that as 1 through 3, so that's pages 1, 2, and 3, and then also page 14 and also page 24. Another thing we can find at the end of the book is the glossary. Some glossaries contain pronunciation guides, which tell readers how to pronounce the word amphibious, amphibious. By looking at this slide, what can you tell me? What information can be found in the glossary? Pause and write your answer. Well, in the glossary, I can find vocabulary words that are related to the topic, in this case, frogs, and I can find them in alphabetical order. I can also find next to that word the definition. If you said pronunciation, you're also correct. So let's answer this question. What does amphibious mean? Pause and type your answer. According to this slide, in the glossary, amphibious means able to live on land and in water. Which glossary word describes an organism that needs oxygen to live? Take a second, look through this slide, then pause and write your answer. Which glossary word describes an organism that needs oxygen to live? Aerobic. Before we move on, I want to discuss guide words. Guide words are sometimes found on the tops of glossary pages, and they are always, always found on the tops of dictionary pages. Here's our squiggly arrow that shows us on this glossary page, our guide words are food and fruit. The guide words indicate the first word on the glossary or dictionary page. So food is the first word, and they tell us the last word on the glossary or dictionary page. So food is the first word, fruit is the last. Here's food, there's fruit. When they say the last word, they mean the last defined word, not the last word here. It's the last word that's in alphabetical order and being defined. Being defined means telling us the definition. So these are super helpful when you need to look up a certain word. They help us find where the words are on the page. Since the reader knows the glossary is in alphabetical order, it lets us determine whether a certain word is on a given page. Let me show you what I mean. Pretend this is just part of a glossary page. Notice how I changed the second guide word. So we have food at the first, and if this page kept going, habitat would be the last word. Okay, we're only seeing a part of the page. So what if I asked you, can egg be found on this glossary page? Why or why not? Well, to determine that answer, let's list the two guide words, food, habitat, and the word we're interested in finding, egg. List those three words in alphabetical order. Well, E comes before F, and F comes before H. So in alphabetical order, those would be egg, food, and habitat. Now, since egg is listed before food, and food is the first word on that page, egg would not be found on this glossary page. It would come on a page earlier than this page. So could grass be found on this glossary page? Why or why not? Go ahead and answer and tell me if you think grass could be found on this page. Okay, let's see. We are going to take those three words, food, habitat, and grass, and put them in alphabetical order. Food comes before, F comes before G, G comes before H. So grass would appear between the first word food and the last word habitat. So yes, since it's listed between the two in ABC order, grass would be found on this glossary page. How about heredity? Pause and tell me what you think. All right, I'm going to put them in alphabetical order again. F of food comes before habitat. I have habitat begins with HA. That comes before heredity, which begins with HE. So because heredity comes after habitat, and habitat's the last word on the page, then heredity must appear on one of the next pages in the glossary or the dictionary. All right. So the next time we talk, we're going to talk about text features that we can find within the text. What I want you to do right now is go make sure you have answered every question in the Google slide because that's part of your assignment today. Submit those Google slides. If you didn't get all the answers, lucky for you, this is the video. Wind it back and see. Also, double click on the short assignment that you have for today. Just a little bit of practice with what we've learned, okay? If you have any questions, send me an email.